The Cook of the Lost Village. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by tall dark trees, there lived a lady named Clara. Clara was famous for her cooking. Every time she made a meal, the smell would spread through the village, making everyone hungry. People would leave their food at home just to eat her delicious dishes. They loved her juicy meats, fluffy breads, and rich sauces. Clara always welcomed the villagers with a warm smile. She had a big old house with a large kitchen. The kitchen was full of pots, pans, and spices. Clara knew how to mix everything to make the most wonderful meals. People would come from far away just to taste her food. But little did they know, Clara's secret was dark and scary. When someone went missing in the village, maybe they got lost in the woods or decided to leave, Clara would learn about quickly. Many people had vanished over the years, and the villagers always wondered where they had gone. They would gather to search, but sometimes they could not find the missing person. Then Clara would cook. She had a strange way of using meat that no one could understand. Her dishes were always tender and tasty. But some villagers began to notice that Clara's meat was different from what they usually had. It tasted so good that they couldn't help but come back for more. One day, a young boy named Tom went missing. He was playing near the woods and never returned home. The village searched high and low, but they could not find him. A few days later, Clara announced she was having a special feast to celebrate the village. Everyone was excited. They came to Clara's house, hungry and happy. Clara cooked her best dishes for them. The tables were filled with pots of meat, piles of bread, and bowls of fragrant sauce. The villagers ate and laughed, enjoying the food and company. But as they ate, some of them began to feel uneasy. They talked about Tom. Where is he? They wondered. We should keep searching, but the food was so good that they quickly forgot their worries. As days turned into weeks, more people kept disappearing. A girl named Mary, an old man named Mr. Harris, and a woman named Lydia all went missing. Each time, Clara cooked another feast, and each time, the villagers couldn't resist her food. They felt warm and full, but in the back of their minds, they worried. One rainy evening, a brave girl named Lily decided to investigate. She wanted to know where the missing people had gone. She sneaked into Clara's kitchen while everyone else was eating. What Lily saw made her gasp. She found a strange room filled with jars and strange items. In one corner, there were pieces of clothing and toys that belonged to the missing villagers. In the middle of the room, there was a big pot boiling with meat. It smelled delicious, but it also smelled wrong. Lily's heart raced. She realized the truth. Clara had been using the meat of the missing villagers to cook her famous dishes. She was not feeding them chicken or beef, she was feeding them human meat. Lily quickly ran back to the dining room. She knew She knew she had to tell everyone. "Stop eating," she yelled. "Clara is using the meat of the missing people." The villagers stopped mid-bite, surprised and confused. Clara, who had been serving food, looked at Lily with angry eyes. "You shouldn't say such things," she shouted. "This is all lies." But Lily was brave. She told everyone what she saw in the kitchen. "We have to leave. We must find the missing people and get out of here." Some villagers believed her, and they stood up to leave, but others were not so sure. They loved Clara's cooking too much. Clara knew she had to act fast. She tried to keep everyone calm, but the truth was out. The villagers looked at each other in fear, finally seeing what they had ignored for so long. Lily led the group outside. They ran away from Clara's house and into the woods, searching for the lost villagers. After a long search, they finally found Tom. He was scared, but he was alive. They also found Mary and Mr. Harris, hidden but safe. All of them had been trapped by Clara in her home. Together, they returned to the village and told everyone what had happened. The villagers were horrified. They realized that they had trusted Clara too much. The village decided to leave Clara behind and never return to her house. They built a new place to live, far away from the dark trees and Clara's kitchen. From that day on, they learned to cook for themselves and make their own delicious meals. And as for Clara, she was left alone in her big house, with no one to enjoy her food. She could still hear the villagers' laughter in the distance, but she had lost everything because of her dark secret. And so the village grew strong and safe, always remembering the lesson of the cook with the secret. They learned to take of each other and to trust their instincts. They shared meals and stories together, and they never forgot the missing people who had brought them together in the end.